Hey guys, Joe here of the Madden Sports Podcast, joined by Matt Youmans, host of VSiN. I did it again. How are you doing, Matt?
Pretty good. I know that's a difficult name to pronounce for some people.
Youmans. I did
Youmans.
it, Youmans.
You got it.
Matt,
You got it.
apologies for that. I'm just terrible when I see a name and have to read it out loud. Youmans, I won't get that wrong again. How is this Wednesday morning treating you?
I don't know. It's been 15 minutes since I woke up, so it's too early to make a judgment on that. But it's going okay, and it'll be a much better day if the Boston Celtics win and cover tonight.
Yeah, let's hope they win and cover this game. It's going to be a great one. Let's jump right into the NBA. Then I want to talk about how you got started in this industry. But since you brought it up, what are you expecting out of this game tonight?
I expect the Celtics to bounce back. They got their butts beat in Game 2 in San Francisco, and that was no surprise. That was a great situation for the Warriors coming off that horrific fourth quarter when they got routed at home in the series opener. When you have a series favorite down a game, you expect that bounce back. And then I think you're going to see the same thing from Boston tonight. The Celtics, I think, are the better defensive team, and they need to show it in the first half tonight. And I expect that's what's going to happen. Jayson Tatum's been a little bit off early in this series. When you get Tatum and Brown, you got two dynamic playmakers. You've got five really elite-type defenders in your starting lineup. You got a pretty deep bench. I think the Celtics are just slightly better, and I expect them to prevail in this series. I said before it started, I thought it was going to be a back-and-forth long series. I still think that. I think the Celtics will win in 6 or 7 games. My initial prediction was 7, so I'm going to stick with 7, and I think they get to win and grab control back tonight in Game 3.
I know Boston Celtics fans everywhere just loved hearing you say that. Out of Jayson Tatum, could you expect him to get a double-double tonight? I know we have fantastic odds on that.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, Tatum's guy is more than capable of grabbing 10 rebounds. The points are going to be the easy part. It wouldn't even surprise me if Tatum got a triple-double tonight. I think you're going to see an outstanding game from Jayson Tatum. He's caught some criticism for how he's played in the first 2 games. His plus-minus, which I don't put a lot of credibility into those numbers sometimes, was minus 36 in Game 2. I think Tatum's the type of guy who's going to bounce back and have a big game tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyone else you're looking at, Matt, for a good game tonight?
Well, I would think Al Horford's going to come back and play much better after having 2 points in Game 3. And, just the rest of my analysis is going to be about the Warriors. If Stephen Curry's got to carry this offense, but if Klay Thompson doesn't play a lot better, I think Golden State's in trouble in this series. Klay Thompson, one of the best two-way players in the NBA, but that was prior to his injuries. He's at least a half step slow, if not a step slow on defense compared to what he used to be. And he's got to shoot the ball better. In the previous game, he was 4 for 19 from the floor, including 1 for 8 from 3. And his jumper just hasn't been on. If Klay Thompson doesn't find his groove, Golden State's in trouble.
Absolutely. Now, we've seen in the playoffs some major blowouts, including the last game. Do you think this could be one where we could extend the line for the Boston Celtics in a game that you think they could blow out? Is it possible?
Well, Joe, it's always possible. I always hope for good competitive games, unless I'm laying 3 or 3.5 like tonight. And then I hope the Boston Celtics win in a blowout. But more often than not in these playoffs, the point spread has not mattered.
Yeah.
You played the dog, the dog's typically getting a straight-up win or getting blown out. So not a lot of fear of laying the points if you're playing the Celtics tonight. I think if they win, they probably win by a margin, but I can't guarantee that.
Yeah, absolutely. Any thought on this total? We've seen it fall a little bit from 212.5 down to 212. So that half-point difference.
Yeah, the first game was, I think, an offensive display, especially by the Celtics in the fourth quarter. Both teams really shot well from 3. Like you said, especially Boston, hitting the first 7 threes of the fourth quarter. I lean under in tonight's game, but I did not play the total, so I don't want to put out an official pick on the total.
Yeah, I don't blame you in that. Tricky with that first game going so far over. The second game going under that total. It's going to be a good game tonight. I wish you all the best in your bet in that.
Thank
but
you.
Matt, let's jump back into how you got started in this industry.
I probably got started.
It sounds like it's going to be a good story from that. It sounds like it's going to be good.
I'm going to give you the quick version.
Okay.
So I would say when I was around 10 or 12 years old, my uncle was a big sports bettor.
Okay.
And he taught me, I would say probably around 10, might have been 8 to 10. He taught me how to read the betting lines in the paper. And from that point forward, I was always intrigued by the sports betting aspect of all the games. Every game I attended as a kid with my dad or my uncles, I was always thinking about the line. I was always trying to pick point spread winners. So I actually started writing a sports betting column in the college newspaper. This in the early 90s. That's how old I am. I'm about 50. So I was doing that, 3 decades ago when sports betting was a taboo topic in the media, mainstream media. When I worked in moved on to work in Chicago after that. I was mainly an NBA, NFL beat writer, and a columnist at the time, so I really wasn't doing much in sports betting, but occasionally I would sports betting features or columns. I always get interested in that part of it. And Joe, I'll tell you, when I moved to my goal when I moved to Vegas in August of 2020 was to make sports betting the main attraction at the Las Vegas Review-Journal newspaper, because Vegas didn't have any pro teams at the time. It was UNLV football, UNLV basketball. And I thought sports betting should dominate the sports section. So when I went there, that's what I told the sports editor I wanted to do. We created football handicapping contest. I wrote columns 3 times a week. We really filled the sports section with sports betting content, and the readers loved it. And it took off and really grew that over the course of about 15 years. We started doing videos. Kelly Stewart was somebody I brought on around 2011, maybe 2010, to start doing videos for the Review Journal. So, we were way ahead of the curve in terms of having women involved in sports betting content. And that was always my goal. I thought women would have a big role in sports betting media if they were allowed to. But you had to kind of cultivate the talent too. It was hard to find, and you had to grow the talent. And Kelly Stewart was really the first one I found that had the talent to do it. So,
absolutely.
That's how I got started with that, and then started a sports betting radio show at ESPN Radio in Vegas at around 2010 or 11 as well, with Adam Hill and Doug Kazarian of ESPN. Doug was working here in Vegas at the time, and that's really how I got started in the sports betting area of this business, because I thought there was a huge opportunity there. Nobody in the national media was doing sports betting content at the time. And why not launch it here in Vegas and expand it in terms of radio, TV, newspaper, video, whatever you want to talk about. And look where it's headed today. It's amazing how far things have grown, or how far things have come, and how much really sports betting coverage in the mainstream media has grown in the past 5 or 6 years.
Absolutely. Complete leader in this industry, Matt. It's great to hear that story and how you brought on Kelly in Vegas, seeing that need for women in the business. I love it. I have to ask, did you come from a super competitive family then? I know your uncle was into sports betting. Was the whole family competitive?
Oh, yeah, of course. Everybody in my family played sports. And if you play sports from a young age, see, I grew up in Indiana. I started playing basketball probably when I was about 1. Yeah. So basketball, baseball, football. As soon as you could walk. Year round, it was basketball, baseball, football. And then in my teens, I taught myself how to play golf a little bit. Never took a golf lesson really, but taught myself how to play the game of golf. And I was fortunate I did that, because Joe, I'm getting to the point now where I can't play basketball anymore. I can only occasionally play softball games. And, golf and softball are the 2 sports you can play until you're about 80. So I think it's always valuable to pick up those sports at a young age. It's funny when sometimes I have moms who have kids ask me, what sports should I get my kids into? And I said, well, what does he like, first of all? But the second is, teach him to play golf because he can play golf for a lifetime.
Absolutely. Golf is such a great sport. Unfortunately, when I hit that ball, it goes backwards. I don't know. I need 100 more lessons to get that ball going forward.
Don't give up. Don't give up. Keep practicing.
I'm definitely going to hit the course this summer and try to get better at it. Let's talk some golf. We got the U.S. Open next week. What are you liking for the U.S. Open?
I haven't done all my handicapping on the tournament. Yeah, did play one in serious contention to win a major in Ohio last week. He had 99 total putts in the tournament. That was the lowest number since 1983 in that tournament. I have to be good around the green.
Absolutely. It looks like we're getting just a little bit of
at the U.S. Open. I think Max Homa has the complete game.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I saw that.
Apologies. We're just having a little bit of technical difficulties here with the internet. I think it looks like you are unfrozen now, Matt. If you could just tell us what you said one more time. I apologize for that. You're muted. Sorry, Matt. Your mic is just muted right there.
Okay.
There we go. Now we can hear you. You got to say it 3 times. 3 times a charm.
No sweat. Max Homa is one long shot. I played in the U.S. Open next week. I think you got to have a complete game to win that tournament. He's been great around the greens, great with the putter recently. Max Homa 80-1 at Circus Sports is one bet I made. I actually have not done all my handicapping on the U.S. Open yet, but I'll definitely put out some plays at VSiN next week and expect to hit some winners or have some guys on the leaderboard on Sunday. It's golf betting is one of my favorite things to do, and I think once people really get into it, they enjoy it. And we're seeing the growth of golf betting in Vegas right now. And in fact, that's our cover story this week at VSiN and our weekly magazine, Point Spread Weekly, is the growth of golf betting. And we're seeing a lot of talk about golf in the mainstream media this week. And we're gonna be talking about the U.S. Open at this time next week, Joe. So I'm pretty fired up about that. It's great to have at sometimes these slow times with sports in the summer where you don't have a lot to bet on. It's great to have a golf major. So we're going to have that next week.
Yeah, absolutely. Matt, do you want to let us know everything that you have going on at VSiN right now?
Well, if you go to vsin.com, you can pretty much find everything. We have a lot of good content up there on the website every day, or you can watch the streams of our shows. I think we do 17 or 18 hours of live shows each day. And
wow.
That's actually a pretty ambitious schedule considering we don't have an ESPN sized staff, but we have a lot of good people talking sports betting. And Joe, I know you've had some of those people on your shows, including Mike Palm today, right?
Absolutely. Definitely had such a great set of guests here. Mike Palm, actually, we've got our times a little bit confused. I will have him on later today. It was supposed to be before you, so I let him know. We will adjust that. It's always fun when you guys are Pacific. I'm talking Eastern. I'm actually Mountain. Yeah. One of those things that definitely does happen. But Matt, before you leave, where I was going with the competitive side of things, I did see a YouTube on you rating fast food restaurants and the odds on those. Tell me where that idea came from.
Well, it's actually fast food is not a hobby or it's a lifestyle for me, Joe. And that's I don't know how to cook. Okay. So if you don't know how to cook, you got to find ways to survive. And I never really wanted to get married or have a wife and ask her to cook for me. So I eat fast food 4 or 5 times a day. And so Doug Kazarian told me, Doug from ESPN, who I mentioned I did the radio show with here in Vegas, he said, man, you should write a book or you should do videos. You should do something on fast food. That's your area of expertise. And I thought about it around 2018. I said, okay, I'm going to put out my fast food top 25 power rankings. That's part of being a handicapper too. You do your power ratings on every college football, college basketball team. I do those every season. So I said, I'm going to develop a power rating system for fast food franchises. And I explained that. in the column I wrote on VSiN. I think you've seen the YouTube video. I detailed how I came up with the power ratings for the fast food franchises. And then last year, I expanded that to the top 50. And Joe, I'm going to put out another top 50 this summer. I think we're going to do it in July. And there might be a new number one fast food franchise this summer. So you're going to have to stay tuned for that.
I can't wait to hear who it is. Who was it last year? Was it ChickfilA?
It was ChickfilA. ChickfilA's got amazing efficiency at the drive-thru. The quality of food is very consistent every time you go there. It's hard not to give ChickfilA a near perfect score, but I'll say this. It was also hard for me the last couple of years to rate Chick-fil-A number one when you don't serve burgers. So it's kind of hard to have a number one franchise that does not serve burgers. And I think a franchise that serves burgers and chicken might take over the number one spot this year.
Okay, I like it. Who made 50th? Do you remember who made the 50th one?
50th last year, it might have been Jack in the Box or Taco Bell. One of those bottom.
Taco Bell.
You like Taco Bell?
Taco Bell. I'd
What's
put
that?
Taco Bell last. I'd put Taco Bell last.
Derek Stevens at Circa has Taco Bell in his top 5. And that's what makes it so challenging. Everybody has different taste and opinions on fast food. You're not going to get a consensus opinion. So this is just my opinion from a lifetime of joints 4 or 5 days a week.
I love it, Matt. Okay, Matt, can you let everyone know where to find you on socials as well as when they can watch your shows?
Yeah, I'm on weekdays, 4 p.m. Eastern, and I do spots on a variety of shows on VSiN, also a Matt Youmans 247 on Twitter. And today you can find me on the Joe Madden Sports Show. Joe, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate being on your sports podcast today.
Matt, absolute pleasure having you on. I want to wish you all the best in all of your bets. Good luck in the Boston Celtics game tonight. I hope that cashes nicely for you.
Hey, if it doesn't cash tonight, I'm going to bet the Celtics again in Game 4. They're not going to get swept 2 games in Boston, and but I'm going to play them tonight, and then I'll stick with them again in Game 4 if tonight doesn't work out. Hey, you've done a great job getting a lot of big-name guests on your podcast. I know Jay Cornegay is going to be on.
Absolutely.
Keep up the great work.
Thank you, Matt. Appreciate you and appreciate your time today. All the best. Thank you so much. I'd love to have you on again.
All right, you bet. Thanks.
Thanks, Matt. Bye, guys. I'll be back at the top of the hour with another Joe Madden Sports Podcast.